I had this friend that was living with me at that point. I call her my sister. She was so helpful. Like anytime I remember my nursing journey, I remember her. So she was like, I've heard about School of Nursing. Like I have a friend that goes to School of Nursing. Don't you want to try it? Now, mind you, before then, I'm sorry, but I hated nursing because I hated the Nigerian nursing uniform, the white gowns. But School of Nursing, I felt like it was for older people, people who couldn't pass jam. No. My name is Success. I'm a registered nurse based in Phoenix, Arizona. I create content around nursing, trying to get into lifestyle and a little bit of every other thing. So today's video is going to be my experience. I wanted to get a little bit personal with you guys so you guys can get to know me more. So I guess I'm going to start from the very beginning, how it all started. When I graduated high school in Nigeria, I finished my high school in Warri, Delta State. Before then, I had a lot of professions in my mind that I wanted to become. And in high school, I was good in science. I was good in chemistry and physics. I was not that, biology wasn't a really good foundation, but everyone, is like, if you're good in chemistry, physics, you should be an engineer. But I just knew I don't want to be an engineer. I just wanted a profession that will make me wear a dress to the office with my high heels and then come back home, like, have the rest of the day. That was just what I wanted. I didn't see my future in nursing. Let me just put it that way. So nursing was never part of the plan for me. That's my own story, okay? So when I finished high school, in Nigeria, there's something we call JAMB. There's something we call post-UME. So I wrote JAMB the year before I wrote my WAEC, but the score I had was 225. I don't know if you guys can relate to the score. It's like over 400, and then you have to have like really high score to get into the university. I didn't want to like apply that year because I knew that it was not enough, because I was managing it with studying for WAEC, studying for NECO, and then studying for the JAMB. So I knew that wasn't going to get me to the course I wanted. So I didn't get into school that year. I finished my WAEC. I got my WAEC with straight A's and B's. I tell you, I didn't have any C on my WAEC, bragging rights, whatever. Anyway, I did my JAMB as well. And then I had to stay at home for 1 year. No problem. I'll put in my best. I'll prepare for JAMB and I will take it again. And hopefully I pass and get admission into school. And then JAMB happened to us. Nigeria happened to us that year. That was the year where they were introducing CBT. I don't know if anyone can remember. There were lots of mistakes in that CBT that year because they haven't really test run it before bringing it out. So unfortunately, I was part of the batch where they messed up. I finished writing JAMB that I sweat and I read for. I thought, oh my god, I have done it. Like, oh my god, this JAMB is going to, I'm going to kill it. But as God may have it, I finished writing the exam and they sent the results to my dad's phone. They gave me 30, 30, 30, 30 in each subject. I'm saying they gave me because I was not the one that wrote. How can I pass 30, 30, 30 in each subject? And that came up to because it's 4 subjects, that came up to 120. Over 400. Like, which school is going to take you with that? So everybody, there was mistake across Nigeria. So they made an announcement online and they said we're going to add, some people they gave them too much score, some they gave them lesser. They said we're going to add 40 marks for each person. So they added 40 marks and that brought me up to I think 160, 170. So I was so tired. This was going into year 2 now of staying at home. I didn't want to stay at home. During those period, I learned computer, I learned hairdressing and all of that. But I was so done. I was tired of staying at home and I didn't want to stay anymore. So I begged my dad, if I could go to pre-degree, JUPEB, or just anything to take me out of the house. So he was like, oh no, don't worry, at the right time you go to school, blah, 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 blah. So I was willing to go to Polytechnic at that point because I think it was up to 170 after they added the 40 marks. You could get into Polytechnic, some Polytechnic with 170. So I was already reading for their entrance exam. And then I had this friend that was living with me at that point. I call her my sister. She was so helpful. Like anytime I remember my nursing journey, I remember her. So she was like, I've heard about School of Nursing. Like I have a friend that goes to School of Nursing. Don't you want to try it? Now, mind you, before then, I'm sorry, but I hated nursing because I hated the Nigerian nursing uniform, the white gowns just I'm wearing today. But this is not a nursing uniform, so please don't come for me. I didn't like the white gown. I didn't like the outfit, the cap. Then like scrubs were not so popular. It was still the white gown and cap. That's what I saw. That's what I knew nurses. And anytime you go to the hospital, I never went to the hospital a lot, but a few times I went, I felt like the nurses were mean, nonchalant. Like you don't talk to them as much. The person you actually talk to or consult with is your doctor. Like I don't know. Like I just really felt like not nursing. So she was like, okay, just try it. At least it's still like, how we think that nursing is a stepping stone to medicine. Yeah. That's what I thought too. That nursing is like the second grade of medicine. That's what I thought too, my dear. So I was like, okay, let me just start it. Let me just see how it is. And then I'll apply. But school of nursing, I felt like it was for older people, people who couldn't pass jam. No shit. Or people who couldn't go to the university. Those are people that go to school of nursing. Little did I know that they are just different routes to one destination. So I applied to two schools. I applied to Delta State School of Nursing and Abia State School of Nursing. When I applied to Delta, they told me, you're not an indigene. Oh, I should have told you before. Why did they would consider indigenes first before non-indigene, except I was among the first 10. So I already moved my mind from it. Immediately the next day, I went to buy in Abia State School of Nursing because I'm from Abia. So I bought there. I started reading for their own entrance exam while I was reading for Delta State entrance exam. But as you know, like I was more focused on the Abia. So when the results of the Delta came out, of course, my name was not there. And then when the results of the Abia came out, I was so surprised that I was the first out of like over 2,000 people that wrote the exam. My name was on the number 1. So I was like, this is a sign. Is this a sign? Do I really have to be a nurse? So, but still, I went in with the mindset I was going to write JAM the next year and leave and all of that because I didn't know what I was expecting. I had no idea about school of nursing, about anything. Like after I started, it was kind of interesting. I was like, so nurses learn this much, so nurses know this much. So there's a lot of, learning going on. Like, who are the nurses I see in these private hospitals then? Who are the nurses I see that I feel like they are mean at, they can't really give much information on stuff? Like, who? But that's a question for another day. Let's not even go there. So I started nursing school and I was so loving it. I was so interested. I met nice people. It was like a close-knit environment. My school only had to graduate 50 students at the end of the whole program, and then they were giving us food once a day, so you had to care for yourself morning and evening. And so in nursing school in Nigeria, we have a 6-month preliminary section. Okay, so we take an exam, and that exam is basically pass or fail. So if you pass, you're gonna remain. If you fail, you leave. So typically my school targeted only 50 because that's what they were approved for, and most of school are like that, 50, 30, but now they're increasing it anyway. That's what we were approved for us to write the board exam. So as God may have it, I passed the first 6 months and we did like a whole party, matriculation, induction kind of thing, welcome to the nursing profession. So we used to wear just a plain white gown. So during that induction ceremony, they added a purple stripe to our waist, and then they gave us a cap with a stripe. And then as you go, year 1, you have a 1-line stripe. Year 2, you have 2 lines. Year 3, you have 3 lines. So that's how they're able to differentiate us. And we always wore uniforms to school. We were fed in school, and there was like a school gate. So it was really, an enclosed training in the training system that we had in nursing school. So after the whole thing, I graduated in November 2019. I took my board exam and I passed. Now, before then, I got a call from my mom to come back to Warri to do my passport. So I was like, what am I renewing my passport for? So I came back during the hospital finals, which was around May, June-ish period. And when I got home, that's when she told me, we've been approved for a kind of visa that we can apply for and blah, blah, blah. I was like, when did we apply for this visa and how did our application get approved? She was like, they applied for it a long time ago, almost 15 years ago. I got in and then did my passport and I was able to go back to school to take my board exam. Now, when I finished, I got a job in a small hospital close to where I lived in Warri. And that hospital was paying me 30,000 naira, guys. Yes, 30,000 naira. And then it was like, oh my gosh, I was so happy to get it because I was happy to start working. I was happy to have something on my resume. and I wasn't really paying any bills. I was with my parents, everything. But it did take me up to 1 month, 2 months when I realized that money was nothing. Because when you want to buy stuff like as you're becoming an adult, like you're working and all of that, I can't buy anything for myself. I can't buy shoes. I can't buy bags. Like the money just finishes. It was so small. So like I knew I wanted more. I started looking for something else. But then come the next year, which was 2020, COVID came. So it wasn't really easy to like, commit yourself to far distance. And this place was really close to my house. I was walking to the job. So then we also planned to move to Lagos, 2020 June. So then we moved to Lagos. And I had to look for another job. I got a job on the island where I was working. I worked all the units there. I worked MedSurg, I worked ER, I worked ICU, I worked NICU. So I was able to see a bit of all of them. And then I worked COVID units too on that job. So I worked the whole of 2020, and then I worked until 2021 June, where we finally got the visa. And then we came here. So when we got here, my first job was as a caregiver. In Arizona, you have to have a caregiver certificate to be a caregiver, and it's about $600 for the course then, and it's about, I think, 4 weeks course or 6 weeks thereabout. Or you have to be a CNA, and CNA was about 2 months to 4 months for about $2,500. I didn't have any of that money. I got the job based on referral as a caregiver in-house. I was staying in the house. I was taking care of an old man, bless his soul. So I was cooking for him and everything. I did that for 2 months there. While I was doing that, I was working as an autistic rehabilitative therapist. So I'd go to homes of autistic children and talk to them, like have a time with them, play with them. And I would also, we set goals for the week. Just it could be as little as waking up on time, or arranging your stuff, or tell your mom I love you, stuff like that, depending on what spectrum they fell under. So I did that. I loved it. While I was doing the caregiving, I did that on weekends. And then after that, I left the caregiving after 2 months, and I got a job as a behavioral health tech in a residential facility. So this is where people who have suffered from mental health illness are being taken care of in like a home-like setting, usually 5 to 1 person or 10 to 1 person, depending on how big the home is. So basically, you don't really do much for them. You just bring out the stuff they need to cook, and then they cook by themselves. Some of them are like totally fine. They just need, a home instead of being in the hospital, so they could be able to start working and then be able to pay their bills. So yeah, that was where I worked. I did that for about a year. Yeah, and I got tired, and I decided to get a job in a clinic. So I was like, while I was doing that, I was working towards getting my nursing license. So that was where I found it so hard getting information. I had someone that from my school came to the US. I'll contact him. It'll take 1 week to respond, and I wasn't really getting the answer to the question I want. Like, it was so hard. I found one YouTube video that was from like 2 years ago. Like, what am I saying? It was like 4 years ago as at that time, where they were sharing information. That was where I heard about ERES and CGFNS and all. I knew CGFNS took so much time, so I didn't want to use them. That's why I used ERES. So that was where, during those period, I was doing my whole nursing process, certification, evaluation, and everything. So I wanted to work in a hospital or clinic where I could, start learning the American system. But at the same time, I didn't work in the hospital because I didn't have a CNA license, and I didn't want to do that, pay too hard to go do that course, because I knew that I was soon get my license. I was soon going to be a nurse. So also with referral, I got a job again to become a PCT, patient care tech, at a clinic. So they didn't need anything, but they also knew that I was a foreign educated nurse. So I was a front desk. I was a front desk person. I was doing tests, small tests, COVID, flu, strep, taking urine samples and all of that. I was registering them, checking their insurance and everything, checking vital signs. So that was my job there. So I did that for also about a year. I was combining it to the behavioral health tech. I'll speak shift here, do this one full time, do that one part time and everything. So I started preparing for my exam. I took my first NCLEX. I was like, oh, it's exam. I've never failed any exam before. I took my first NCLEX. I failed it. Like, they didn't even waste time sending my results. Piam, unfortunately, you have to retake this again. I did not pay me like that. I was like, I know that I did not read very well. So no problem. I'll prepare and take it again. So the second one, I read so much. I did, I bought one whole package of like $300. Thanks to my cousin that helped me out with that. I practiced for it. I took it. I was like, that's what I'll smash it. So the extent that I even took it on my birthday. I took it on June 1st. No, I took it, sorry, May 29th, I think. May 30th, May 31st. Hoping to get the results June 1st, so I could celebrate my birthday very, very well. But these people delayed to send me the results. So I was even thinking, maybe I passed. So only for me to wake up on my birthday, June 2nd, like, it's a beautiful day to be alive, girl. I looked at my phone and the first message I saw was ABCN. As Arizona State Board of Nursing. I went to my email only for me to say, unfortunately, oh my god, I cried the heck out of my stomach, because at this point I was already going 2 years in the United States. I've done how many jobs now? Are you counting? I did the caregiving for 2 months. I did the behavioral health tech. I was combining it with an autistic rehabilitation. I did the clinic. I was combining it with behavioral health tech. I was so tired of all these things just to make how much at the end, not even up to 2K at the end of the month. I was so tired of doing all this thing. So I was so frustrated because I already like, I need to start working. I need to like actually be in the hospital. I need to see what nursing is about and all the stuff here. And so that failure was so devastating. So I decided to, take my time to write the third one, and I wasn't going to tell anyone again. And that day, I was so grateful that my birthday, like, it was supposed to be so ruined. But my boss came to the house to take me out. My auntie came all the way from over like an hour drive. Like, I was so grateful for the support system I had. My parents were so supportive. Everyone was so good. And then the September of that same year, I was like, okay, let me try to see if I'll just take it again. This time I didn't tell anyone, not even my parents. I just dressed so casual with Crocs. Like, I'm always dressed up anytime I'm going out. So they did not have this clue that I was going to take the exam. Like, I wore Crocs, I wore joggers. I was just so casual, which is not like me. So they thought I was going to the library. So I went into the exam with very low expectations, because I was like, if I fail again, there's no problem. And this time, thank goodness, I passed. And I've made a video about how I passed the NCLEX, and it was Saunders that helped me. Every other resource I was using were giving me surface information. But Saunders took me down to the root. Okay, let's study again. Maybe you've actually forgotten the concept, because not practicing for almost 2 years was a thing. So maybe I actually had forgotten the concept and the things I studied in school. So I needed to get back to it. So that Saunders helped me get back to the foundation before I could build upon and be able to take the exam. So I passed that year. My mom was so excited, as you can see, so excited. And then after that, I couldn't work. Now, Arizona State Board of Nursing told me that I had to do a refresher course because I've been out of school for over 2 years. At this point, I've been out of school for 3 years plus. That I had to do a refresher course before I can practice. Guys, I wrote the exam in September. This refresher course was not starting until January. So they did only January and August. So I was like, hey, had I known that, I've written the NCLEX before August now. But anyway, so I had to wait. Couldn't wait for January to just come so I could start the course, So January came, I started the course. It was a physical class 2 times a week. I had to be driving over like almost an hour, like with traffic, to get to the school for the whole refresher thing. So the refresher was just basically, teaching us how to, like, I had met nurses that have been out of the field for 20 years, 10 years, teaching us basic concepts, American standard documentation of like on the computer EMR systems, because most of those nurses have like, they used paper charts back then. So it was just like, it was actually a refresher, and I enjoyed it. I'm so grateful for people I met there as well. So I started the course in January, and I was like, there's something more I can do. Like, I have a license, like there should be something more. I can't just keep working as a tech. So I started making an inquiry online, and then on LinkedIn, I was just scrolling one day, and then I saw nurse externship. So I was like, what is this? So there's nurse intern, there's nurse extern. So I started to try it out, and I started to several places, and then one place called me, which I'm so grateful for, a level 1 trauma hospital, and they called me for the interview.